Hey, Facebook friends and family, how you guys doing today? I thought I was going to help a lot of people out today about dating on social media because there's a lot of stories out there about people who trying to find the right person, but um, they haven't been having any luck about this. So I wanted to address it in a social media position because all of our, we're heading down that way with online dating and things like that. And so I wanted to really address it in that position because a lot of singles are going down that online dating and they're trying to find the right person. Well, hey, how you doing? Voila, madam. All right. So what I wanted to do is address, as a psychiatrist, I wanted to address that position of the psyche of online dating for those singles. And this is part one, because we're going to just talk about that time of I want to do go out dating to going outwards. Um, Let me see what else. So for those of you who do not know me, I'm a psychiatrist. I'm also have a PhD in psychiatry. I also have a PhD in divinity. I've been counseling professionally for over 18 years. This is all I do. Um, I do other things, but this is mostly what I do to help the community as much as I can. So in this case, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, get some paper and pencil. Because this is going to be like a lecture position. So, all right, that being said, the first thing I want everyone to understand when it comes to dating, especially online dating, is that the woman is in emotion or she's emotional and the man is hormonal. Okay. So when you understand that very basic concept that a woman is emotional for guys, all you guys who are looking for the right type of woman, you need to realize that they're very emotional. And ladies, for you as a who are looking for guys, guys are very hormonal. Now, hormones is a lot more than just sex or the attraction of sex. So when I say hormones, I'm not just talking about the idea of sex. Okay? Hey, what's going on, Evie? Good. All right, so that's the first thing I want you guys to realize. So I have an example. It's an old picture that I've used in other videos because I got it off the internet, so nothing personal or specific. So let's go onto the board and I'll explain the case study in this position. Here we go. So let's look at exhibit one, I guess you can say. She has low self-esteem. She's an introvert. She is 29 years old, no children, working, going to school. All right, so that is where we're at. So let's talk about her for a second. All right, boom. All right, so when it comes to the individual, a lot of reasons people turn to social media dating is simple. They're introverts and they're not the outgoing type people. They work and then they come home. They work and then they come home. Every now and then they'll go out with their friends. But at the same time, when they go out with their friends, because they're introvert and specifically they have low self-esteem, in the social side of it, it's hard for them to find a person face to face. So in context, what they do is they turn to online dating, which is absolutely a good idea. Now, for me, the reason I say it's a good idea is because you can go through the masses, pick and choose, and you don't have to spend more money other than the online service. So that is an option. So, but here's the thing. When you have a lady who is low self-esteem and she's an introvert, it's very hard to find that guy without talking to them. But there are other means that you can actually find that guy without talking to them. All right. So let's go back on the board and I'll explain what I mean. So let's use this as like saying step one, if you will. All right. First thing we need to do is protect your image. Your image is is everything. Excuse me, is everything. So before you do anything, meaning addressing the image, we want to make a list of your interest. And then we'll talk about groups in a second. Now, in making a list of your interests, we're also going to match your professional level, which is in protect your image. All right, so what are we talking about in this context? If I was to let's use Facebook for an example. If I was to go onto your page and I scroll down your page on your pictures, most of all of you have conflicting issues in your pages, meaning I can't tell what your interests are. I can't tell what professional level you are. You're high and you're doing this with these kind of friends. You're doing this with these kind of friends. You're doing this because you're at home and you're just bored. You're doing this and this and this. But because the idea of directing out to the public in the dating position, you have to be defining of the interest. What is your interest? What do you like to do? Well, if you like to go hunting or fishing or go to the club or go out to the museum or anything like that, if that is what you do, why are there no pictures out there you doing that? No consistent pictures of you doing that. Now, when it comes to the professional level, a lot of you ladies are very professional. But on your social media picture platform, your pictures are not professional. They're not at a certain standard. Your dressing is not a certain standard. Your how you present yourself is not a certain standard. And if it is that standard, then that's what you're going to be judged on, or in other words, stereotyped. So there's two things that people look at when they look you up. They look at your interests. What are their interests? Do they have the same interests that I have? And professional level. If you're a professional, do you present yourself as a professional, or are you showing your cleavage and your other means of who you are, right? So protecting your image, that's step number one. You got to scrub, if you will, your image on your social media. And I'm talking about all platforms, Instagram, Facebooks, all of that. All right. Because if you was to call up a guy or a guy call up a girl, then you're going to automatically look them up. It's just, you can't help but look them up. And if there's conflicting imagery, then you're going to conflict the individual. And if you conflict the individual, then they're going to automatically go to neutral and then their own personality. And a lot of times when a guy thinks of a girl, he's thinking negative. And when a girl thinks of a guy, it's vice versa. So let's talk about consistency. All right. If I see consistency, then I can have a clear understanding of how I'm going to approach you. If there is no consistency, I'm going to stereotype you, and in my stereotype, it may not be who you really want to be expressed or known for. So let me give you an example and an idea of what I'm referring to. How's everyone doing this morning? Hey, Amy, how you doing? Okay, so we're going to make a list of our interests. Join a group, get some pictures out there of your interests. You're going to protect your image, and you're going to be in a professional level, okay? Now, what does that mean? Exhibit A, she's professional. When a guy looks at her, he's going to think she's beautiful. Okay, in beautiful, he's also looking at the surrounding area right there. And in that contact, does she have a consistent and stereotype proof? Okay, where's my stereotype? She's a professional. Now, this is a different woman, but let's imagine this woman look like this in a two or three more pictures down the line going out to the club. Well, if she looks like this when she's at work, but she looks like this when she's going out to the club, What do you think? There's no consistency, and then stereotype proof. What do you think your guy, ladies, what do you think your guy is going to be considering about you? Right. He's going to say various things, but ultimately you're addressing his hormones. Now, if you address his hormones, then he's only going to veer off of who you are socially, and that is at the club or outside of home or outside of work. And see, this is a confusing part in the context. If I'm looking at you and you're working, I don't care. This is your job. This is who you are at your job. You're a professional at your job, and that's good and that's great. But that's just who you are at your job. I don't care about your job. I'm not working for you. If I was to work for you, then I would care. But if I want to date you, that's irrelevant. You can look nice all you want at your job. But as soon as you look like that other lady with her cleavage hanging out, that is how I'm going to approach you. Because that's the woman I'm going to date. I'm going to date the woman outside of your job, not the woman in her job. So ladies, when I talk about consistency and I talk about protect your image, one of the things you have to realize is if you look professional at your job, in your job, you have to look a certain standard of professionalism outside your job when you go out and hang out. The worst thing you can honestly do is look professional at work and cleavage looking like outside of that. And then if that is the case, when you have a guy, his hormones is triggered, and when his hormone is triggered, he doesn't care about your emotion. He cares about himself and the hunt. So depending on who he is, if he's an alpha guy or all the way down, he's going to approach. And here's the trick. If he approaches, ladies, you're looking at it in an emotional position. You're going to say, oh, I like the way he looks. Well, then you like the way he looks, but you don't know what's in his mind. And in his mind, he's thinking, all I want to do is have sex with you. You look sexy. Okay? So be mindful of consistent positions in your protecting your image. Be mindful on your social medias, all the platforms. You have to have a certain consistency. You have to have your interests out there. Put it out there, because if you like certain interests, and you need to show it, because if you show it, then the guy who doesn't have your interest, he's not going to approach you. But if you don't have no interest on your social media platforms, then they're not going to see you, and then you guys are both guessing at each other of what my interest is. And we don't do that. We have to be very specific in our approach. So step number 1, protect your image out in social media. Get your interest, get a group. Now again, we're downplaying it because everybody's on lockdown. But point is still the same. Get a group, get some interest. Even if you get some pictures off of the search engines and then put it on there and have a post and say, this is what I like to do. Something as simple as that. Then the professional level, if you position yourself at a professional level at work, then you need to do it at the same time outside. And then that level is the base where the guy is going to approach you. If you're looking like your breast is hanging out, then the guy's just coming with money and he's going to buy you. But if you look professional all the way across, he's got to come to the table respecting you, because that's who he thinks you are. Everyone knows we can all be freaks in the bed. Drink to that one. But everyone don't need to know that you're a freak in the bed in public. They need to know you're a good person. They need to know you're a gentle person. They need to know who you are emotionally and who you are within goals and all that stuff. Because if you don't have that across you, it's not going to be accepted, and you're not going to receive it. Okay. Second, all right. So let's move on from there. All right. So the delivery. Let's go in. Let me go into here. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Doing. Voila. All right. I'm just checking this right quick, guys. Give me 1 second. Boom. All right. So we protect our image, meaning we're going to look like this and not like this at the same time, right? We want to change that. Protect your image is the first step. Then you're going to go outside and deliver. Now, when you deliver yourself out to the public in the social media position, you have to tell the story. It has to be an emotional story and it has to be a hormonal story. Now, why do I say that? Because women are emotion, men's are hormones. Okay, so let's talk about voila. All right, so the delivery. If you take pictures of you at work, okay, that's one thing. And then you take pictures of you, selfies when you're outside of work. That's another thing. The only thing I'm looking at with you is I'm seeing you having a good time, but I'm not knowing who you are. Sometimes you have to tell the story, meaning if you're at work, talk about work. If you're going outside of work and you're in your interests, talk about your interests. Talk about what you like to do. Talk about yourself. So if a guy who is single and he's looking at your profile and he's seeing it, he sees a couple of videos out there, and there are some videos that tells a story about you. What you want them to know about you. Do you really want them to know that you know how to have a good time at the club? Do you really want them to know that you know how to drink all of the time? Because contrary to belief, if you put 10 pictures and I'm just looking at your social media, I'm looking at 10 pictures back to back. Even though each picture was a month apart taken, I'm not looking at the stamp of the time. I'm looking at the pictures back to back, and I see nothing but a drunk woman a lot of times who likes to go to work or not, because some women don't have a work position in their profiles because they think it's separate. It's not separate. It's a collective. It's a wholeness of who you are. So when you do your delivery, and a guy or guys to the girls, whoever's looking at your profile, you have to be mindful that they're not looking at the stamp of the time. They're just scrolling down every 2 seconds. They're looking at it 2 seconds, and if something grabs their eye, they're going to look at it a little longer. And for a guy, he's hormones. So if he's seeing sex, he's going to look at it for a few seconds and make up a story in his mind if you don't give him a story. So the delivery is setting up your position and tell a story of who you are, what you want. And you don't have to talk about the dating position. You just talk about who you are. And when you tell the story of who you are, then the guy will automatically determine if I like you the way you look, and if I like the story of who you are, and I have the same interest that you have, then I know we're somewhat of a compatible match. And then if that is the case, then you got it going good. So in context, now let's talk about the meat. Let's put it all together, all right? So as I said in the beginning, we're talking about this 29-year-old female, no children, working. She has low self-esteem and she's introvert. She started protecting her image in her social media. She put some interest out there and she says professional. If I look like this, I'm not going to look like this. I'm going to look like this all the way through. And then meaning she's going to have some consistencies and stereotype proof. She's going to be stereotype proof. She's telling stories in an emotional position and hormonal position. Tell the story, and then she's going to deliver it out, and then there's going to be a meet. Now, when there's a meet, you have to be mindful there's motives, purpose, and goals. The first date, the first meet, I should say, not the date, the first meet, you and them. You have to understand what their motives, their purpose, and goals. Now, for a lot of social media people, what is the first meet? It's not old school. We're going to set up a time and we're going to meet at the coffee shop. No, that's the first date. The first meet is, hey, text, or hey, I'm going to message you, or hey, I'm going to email you. That's the first meet. If someone emails you, you automatically say, hey, why are you messaging me? Well, I saw your pictures. Well, you need to find out what their motives. What about my pictures do you like? Okay, then what is your purpose with me if I give you a chance? Those are the things that you need to talk about immediately. Forget all that fluff crap. Look at them if you like them or don't like them. Look, good guys, good girls, beautiful guys. A lot of times they don't have their crap together, a lot of times. So don't look at their image. Look at who they are for who they are. If they match your professionalism, if they match your interests, give them a chance. Talk to them. If they're overweight, work out with them. If they're too skinny, feed them. And vice versa, right? So the first meet is the first introduction. So if a guy or the girl contacts you, that's the first meet. Find out what their motive is. Why are you contacting me? Well, I like you. Well, why do you like me? Because I think we have blah, 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 or whatever the story is. From there, you should then talk about their purpose. What's your purpose in life? What is your purpose with me? What do you want with me? And then you can go into goals and all of that stuff. And then after you do all of that, then have the first date. Coffee, dinner, lunch, whatever that is. And so that's the first position of starting all over and try to have a healthy experience, if you will, trying to find or filter through to a good guy or good girl. And again, I'm saying social media is nice. I like social media, or liked, past tense, social media, because it filters a lot of women all at one time, and I didn't have to spend no more money, and that's awesome. Especially if you're the kind of guy who spends like $50 to $100 per person out on a date. Well, social media, we can filter all of that. So in one hand, I like it. On the other hand, it's a disconnection from society and the social makeup. It's perfect for someone who's low self-esteem and is an introvert, but it's really not so good if you're a high self-esteem and you're extrovert. Extroverts need to get out, but you still need to do this, because when you get out, you don't want a guy, ladies, you don't want the guy to look at your portfolio and say, I like your sexiness and all I want to do is have sex when I meet you. You want a guy that says, I like you. I think we can be a good match together. I think there's some things we can work out and communicate and compromise, but all in all, the root of us, I think we're a good match. That's really what you're trying to look for, really. All right. So this is Dr. Bagley. This is all I got for today. I thank you very much for watching me and spending your quality time. Yeah, so if you do have any questions, do it offline and message me, and I will definitely message you back with some whatever I think is necessity for it. So yeah, so this is, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, so I didn't say it, but this is how you find it, the person. Okay, this is the very first part one of how you find the person, which is totally different than keeping the person. All right, please understand that. There's so many relationships are going downhill you meet them, it's excitement, then all of a sudden that excitement fades away, and then once the excitement fades away, you start going downhill. Typically, for some people, you're looking at about a month, some 6, some a year. But if there's some consistencies on your breakups, you got the getting part. Now you got to figure out how to keep it part, and that would be part 2 of this session here. All right. So I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day. It seems to be a nice day. Forget what everybody else say. Get outside. Go to the park. Go to somewhere. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.